thing started. So we got that started. Peace, everybody. Peace, family. Aboriginal Dawn in the building. How we doing this evening? It's been a minute. But we've been working. So as you come into the chat, as you come into this video, hopefully you find this video very helpful and useful for your endeavors with utilizing your tribal businesses as much as possible. So yeah, I think this will be a good class for everybody. And let me see. Let me get things set up first, and then we can get started. Let me see. Let's think as soon as it's done loading, we can get started. So let me load this up. Dun, 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 dun. All right, cool. It's loaded. I bet. Let's see. I think we're good. Okay. Let me see. Cool. I think we all squared away on that. And if y'all have any questions, feel free to ask them during this presentation. Make sure that that's good. Travel and government contracting. Get everybody situated. Okay. I think this is the right one. All right, cool. Let me set that up here. Sorry about that, y'all. I just gotta get this set up. Cool. Bet. So we get an IG set up. All right, IG. Been a while. Okay. So I think we set up there. Cool. How's everybody's evening? Happy New Year. Spring equinox has kicked off. So we're going to go through this government contracting process utilizing your business entity. And hopefully you find this useful and whatnot. So let's see. I think this is loaded. Yeah. Yep. Cool. All right. Let me pull up my screen and then we'll get this thing started. So let me see. Start it on my screen. We could do it that way or we could do it this way. Yeah, either way. Let me see if I can do it this way. Nope. Yeah, we could do something like this. So let us go into some of the formalities. Happy New Year, like we said. Definitely focus on building your families. That's very important. Build your businesses, make money, build local jurisdictions, get active, have fun, travel. Despite what may be happening, you should still be able to travel, go to different places outside of what you're currently used to being in. And then just take care of your health, right? Your health is something that's the most important thing that you want to be making sure that you take care of. If not, then you'll end up having to, I guess, for lack of a better term, bottom of the night. You know what I mean? So you're having to play catch up on your health for all the years of neglect of your body. So, and then just be true to yourself and do you to the best of your abilities. You know what I mean? So, peace, God, you're in the building. All right. So let's move on to the next slide. Again, we got a couple of different events. We'll just talk about some of the main ones and we'll go through the rest of them. We have the Aboriginal Powwow that's coming up April 18th through the 20th, 2025. It's going to be dope, y'all. Despite all the naysayers and things of that nature, we got the kickball tournament. We got STEM activities. Possibly we may have, a few other things as well. We're going to have painting. We're going to have skating, a little bit of drone racing. We're going to have different sectors from different specialists that are going to talk and kind of teach on certain things that I think are useful for the community. So obviously we got the Speed Cosmo show. This is going to be dope, super dope, right? And like I said, if you want to apply, the link is in the description I can put in the link in the description, or just go to hawab.org and you'll see the link. And then these are the different the events. I think the other one that I did not put on was the birth conference. That's in June. I believe it's June the 14th with the new dates. Let me double check real quick. Boom, 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 boom. Hold on. Let's see real quick. June 14th through the 15th. Yes. So June 14th through the 15th, you're going to see, peace, God, you're in the building. I see you, God. I see you. And so we also have a couple of other events as well. We got the Arnold Ball, obviously, every year. We got a spring equinox up there in OKC. It's a day event. And then we also have a health event that's also going to be in Galveston, Texas. And then just for any other events that may be going on, you can obviously go to honorcommunityculture.org. So the birth conference, God, is in June the 14th through the 15th. It's been changed. So they changed the date from April to June. And I think new flyers should have been posted or sent out, but yeah. And I'm sure there's other events that may be going on, but those are the main ones that I can see. And obviously we got the Tribal Jurors course for sale. Still got the coupon that's still good to the after the powwow. And then main point is to make sure you nationalize and start indigenous businesses, right? Which is what we're going to actually talk about today. All right. So tribal businesses and government contracting. This is something that if you're paying attention to what is going on, they're doing a lot of cleaning up in these government sectors because a lot of money has just been given out for free, basically for free. And so what these people are doing is they're taking this money and they're basically utilizing it for themselves. And not some of them are executing on the things they're supposed to do, but really it's been DEI, right? So we're going to talk about how you can get your hands and just start participating in those things and how you should be participating in those things, especially from a standpoint of, especially if you have the expertise, you have the willpower, you have some form of knowledge to actually execute on these government contracts or bidding on these government contracts. It's another avenue, right? And we'll also just talk about contracts in general that you can bid on as well, that you should be bidding on. And we'll walk you through how to actually go about doing that as well. Real life examples. So these are the things, these are the documents that you should have, that you should be familiar with for your tribal business. We've gone over this several times, but I just want to start with this because this is the foundation. And we'll talk about another foundation that is also needed. But you need your meeting minutes. You need the EIN, obviously. You need the Department of Treasury certificate that shows that it's a tribal tax exempt business, right? You also want to do a fictitious name registration or a DBA, on whichever one your state actually offers. And then you have your meeting minutes, your W-9, and your articles. And you need to make sure you're reading your articles, right? Just make sure you're reading all your documents. But, I wanted to make sure we talk about that stuff. So this is kind of what an assumed name certificate looks like. Again, different things in different states require different things. So, all right, let me go on. So these are just, here's the next thing. Now that you have all those things, hopefully you've read them, but you need to open up your business bank account for your tribal businesses. You need to do that. You need to do that because that's going to be crucial for these next steps that I'm going to be discussing afterwards. But it shouldn't be that difficult. If they are giving you issues, you can always watch the video that was made for opening up business bank accounts and stuff like that within Arnhem. Make sure you watch that at least 3 times or so. Otherwise, it should be pretty straightforward. If they're giving you issues or problems, just go to a different place. Just go to a different bank because there's another bank that wants your business. Point blank, period. All right, so let me move on. All right, these are the types of businesses, right, that we offer in ARNA. Just as a recap: unincorporated associations, tribal LLCs, trust, holding companies, partnerships, 501c3s, 501ds, standard LLCs, right? We do all of those, right, as a recap. All right, now this is key of what's going to happen and what's happening right now. Your products and your services, you need to be crystal clear. Peace, family. You in the building. Hey, pieces, peace. You need to be crystal clear on your products and your services that you're offering. And people need to be able to see exactly what it is that you offer. Like some of y'all, you're not even sure what you're offering, but you have a business. And so when the banks ask you what type of business you have, you're like, I don't know. So what you could do is just kind of set it up where it's kind of generic with your first business. So basically, I'll talk about that later on, but really make sure that you understand what products and services that you're going to be offering, right? All right. And then just make sure you have a website, right? I know this is not really necessarily required, but to me, it's required in 2024 or 2025 because people are going to be looking at what is it that you do and what businesses it have, because most businesses and everything has a website. So we keep that thing moving. All right, we talked about this. All right, Indigenous business government contracting. All right, you get your business as a national as part of your package. If you read your articles, you can see, and I have a clip of the articles, it says it is a multi-purpose type of business trust. That's the type of entity that you have. So it's multi-purpose. So it doesn't just have to do one thing. And that's why I kind of just said, if you do it kind of generically, when you're doing your DBA, you could do something like, you see how it says that the business name is Ikchild She Estates. You could basically abbreviate that to EKXE Associates or Consulting or whatever. Something that does not lock that particular entity into a box. You know, for your other businesses, that's fine. If you have a specific branding name and stuff like that, you know, specialty, because that's what you're going to be doing, you can utilize that for whatever contracting or bids that you want to do for that other business. But in general, you want to have a kind of a catch-all 22 with this particular business that you get for free. And so that's why I said, as a recommendation, you would do a kind of generic DBA name, so that way it doesn't lock you in when people are looking at, oh, okay, what type of business this is, and then they see the website and they see that it's kind of a generic one that says it's consulting and it has other specialties and stuff like that. And that's how you want to set it up. You know what I mean? Peace, family. You're in the building. Peace. So yeah, these are the things that you want to do. Because if it's too specific, like Kojo's Cook Shake Shack or whatever the case is, LLC, there is, like, even though there is no negative influence per se, but they're also looking at it. Oh, okay, so you just only want to focus on food. So, and then keep in mind that this business will be for compensation in exchange for your products and services. That's key, right? All right. So here's some of the components that really make it this whole thing make sense. It's a bonus if you have a local jurisdiction that's operating, meaning that, let's say, for example, local jurisdiction has its kind of layout of the land, but then it has a business directory. So within that business directory is listing all the businesses that it offers within the jurisdiction. And so that kind of opens up the funnel, like, yeah, we offer not just this, but we offer a multitude of things while being broad and all the stuff and like things of that nature. But for your businesses that you're going to be operating, for your first business that you have, you need to have a physical address. No PO box, no virtual, no UPS, whatever those type of boxes that they offer. It needs to be a physical address that people can walk into and you can have meetings and stuff like that. You also need to have an email. I know, and you don't have to necessarily. Well, I say you don't necessarily have to have like a branded specific domain. If you just have like a Gmail one, that should suffice, or Outlook. But as long as it matches your business name, that should be okay. You need a phone number, and then you need to register on SAM. You need to get a cage code, and we'll show you all what that all looks like. And like we talked about earlier, you do need a business bank account. You definitely need a business bank account. And then you want to qualify your subcontractors. So we'll talk about this a little bit as well. So like whatever niche you want to focus in on, let's say you want to do HVAC bids that you want to do, or roofing, or you want to do cleaning, or if you want to do trash pickup, or health, or law, or whatever the case is, whatever is being offered, or whatever you wanted to focus in on, you can have that as a focus, right? Because you want to make sure that you're able to do that you don't mind doing it. You don't mind spending long hours just trying to make sure that everything's good. You're putting together the proposals to submit, to bid on, and things of that nature when you're doing solicit bids, right? And then you want to qualify your subcontractors that you're going to have do the work with or partner with. You don't always have to do it that way. But let's say like you may be interested in, HVAC, but you don't have the expertise, but you know of it, you know how it works, or you can study or learn a little bit about it. You can talk with members in the tribe. There's folks who have expertise in that area as well, and you can partner with them. You can basically offer them a subcontracting gig, you being the primary contract, and then you offer them a subcontractor work. So you basically get pricing from them. So you're going to get pricing from them. You're basically acting as the middleman unless you're not the middleman, or you're actually the person that has the expertise because you have that business, you're going to be acting as the middleman. And so when you're acting as the middleman, you're going to be the facilitator as well. So you're going to be getting quotes so that you have the best price for the quality of work. That's very important. If you don't have the best price with the quality of work, with some level of knowledge and understanding when you're interfacing with these subcontractors, they're going to blow you off too. So if you don't really understand how HVAC works, you're not understanding what the project actually requires, what the gig actually requires, they're going to ignore you. Period. So all you have to do is just really understand what it is that you're trying to bid on. If you understand it, you read what is actually qualifying or what they're looking for, what they're needing, you'll be okay. Literally. So, and then just make sure you're professional and honest. That's one of the key things. Sometimes like nobody's really bidding on these things. From my experience, that nobody has really bidded on some of these things. Some of them have been sitting out there for like years, and they're just looking for somebody to bid, or maybe one or two people have bidded, or one or two companies have bidded on these things. And that's the opportunity right there. Especially if you have the expertise, you have the knowledge, or you want to actually start venturing off into doing government contracting. If you have the will, if you're professional, you're honest, you're not trying to pull a fast one over people, and these people in these government positions, you'll be okay. Like it's not that big of a deal. So here's an example of what you could do. And this is in your state level or county or whatever. So you can go to, for example, for folks in Dallas, Dallas County, or just kind of the DFW area, you can type in Dallas County bids, right? So you go there, you see county purchasing, boom, right? And they also have this for Fort Worth as well. So I just kind of pulling up the example of, you could just type in Fort Worth, it pops up Fort Worth, you pull up, there's also Dallas. So you'll make an account basically, and then you'll register to bid, right? And the registering the bid is really not that difficult. You just kind of put the company's name, your first name, your last name, phone number, username, and then you create the password. Boom, done. Make sure you got your business bank account, because that's important. We'll talk about why again, just as a reiteration. And then you'll get an activation code sent to you. Once you do that, then you can actually put in the organization's profile. So you're going to put your organization, the tribal businesses profile. So that way it's set up in the system. Get all that stuff. Again, physical address, physical location, have the email address, all this stuff, so they can see that info. And then you can actually start going into what kind of things you actually want to be considered for. So you can literally type in medical, you can type in photography, you can put in food and service, you could put in cleaning, you could put in plumbing, HVAC, law. It doesn't matter within this county, with Dallas County, right? And then that's really it. So once you do that, we can actually, let me see if I can pull it up real quick just to show y'all in the video, just so that I should be able to log in. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. So there's like open solicitation right here. So log in. Let me log in real quick. I'm gonna log in real quick, y'all. So give me 1 second. And that way on the replay, people can see it. Human6@gmail.com. Make sure. Yeah, so I see that. And then here's the current bids. Where is it? Let me see. No. Okay. Let me just share my screen. Present. Share screen. So these are some of the different requests that they have out there that you can bid on, essentially. Some of them, like I said, these have ended already, obviously, but if you just do searches and stuff like that, you'll be able to bid on it. So just create an account at your local county, wherever it's close to you. And again, you don't have to necessarily do it within your state. You can do it outside of your state if you want to, if you're feeling that you can set up the subcontractors out of state and coordinate all that stuff. It's just kind of things that you can do to get your feet wet when doing this. So let me go back here. All right. And then here's the big one that I think most people kind of sleep on. Hopefully you can see that. SAM. Just making sure you actually register with SAM. And without even registering for SAM, you can still see the government contracting bids that are out there. Let me share my screen on that. I'll stop that for a second. Present this. So here's the SAM.gov. You go here to search, boom, right? You literally can type in anything. So let's type in health, right? Solicitation BPA for nursing breastfeeding supplies. So if we click on it, this is an active solicitation from Health and Human Services Department, sub-tier Indian Health Services, the Navajo area, right? And then you can also reach out to the Apex accelerators too, to kind of help find contracting gigs for you as well. So that's also something you can do, and they have them in whatever area that you're in. So that's also something to keep in mind. And I think the ones that you want to be careful of whenever you're looking to bid on is like the Department of Education, the Bureau of Land, um, also HSS, just because of Doge. So if I share this tab right here, because of what Doge is actually cleaning up. So if you go to contracts, right, you can see Bureau of Land Management, Commodity Futures Trading. If you keep scrolling, CFPB, that's one that's supposed to be over the Bureau protection of credit reports and stuff like that, over the credit bureaus. Department of Agriculture. Again, anything related to DEI, that stuff has been terminated. So you can see the long list. So you want to just kind of Department of Commerce. Like, look how much dollar amount. So you want to pay attention. Department of Defense, Department of Education. So you want to pay attention to what it is that they are terminating. Department of Energy, Department of Health and Human Services. So again, so DEI, most of this stuff is gone. So anyway, you want to look at this stuff because this is going to kind of navigate to like, okay, let me make sure that I'm aware and not applying for certain things before it gets like basically terminated. Because the whole point is that if it's not adding any value, they're going to terminate it. So this is a good website to just kind of keep an eye out. And it's a long list, y'all. Like, I can't even go through all of this stuff. Like Department of Treasury, Department of Veterans, Department of Interior, GSA. So, God, dog, and then USAID, right? Now, obviously, you can obviously track it for grants as well. So this is the same thing. So when you're applying for grants, you can also see this stuff as well. So that's also something that's going to help be your guide. So let me switch this out. So hopefully that was helpful. So let me go back to share this tab. Okay. So if you scroll down, you see that just kind of what they're looking for. And then they also have attachments for you to look at. Sometimes you can't see the attachments because you have to log in. But some of them you can see they're public for download. So public access is granted. So you can click on it. And then you can save it. And then look at the file. So you can see that this is the solicitation for the contractor order for commercial items. So you can see these are the things right here. So that's one thing. And then you can actually reach out to the person. Go back here. You can actually reach out to the person that's actually putting out the bid and just to get more information, to get a better understanding of what you need or what you need to submit within your proposal. That way you're making sure that you got everything that they need and that you've done your due diligence whenever you're putting together your proposal, because you have to put a proposal together in order to actually bid on this, right? And I'll show you what a kind of like a template proposal or something like that you could do. So peace, God, you in the building. Peace, peace, peace. Yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. Maybe I was sharing the wrong screen. Let me go back. I would think I was sharing the wrong screen. Remove that. Whoops, I was. All right, so basically what I said was that you can look at this, right? And then you can reach out to the person actually right here on SAM.gov. And you don't even have to register to see this stuff. You literally can see it just by searching. But yeah, let me go back here to this. All right. And then once you do the actual SAM registration, right, you'll get a case code number right here. So you'll see Hawab has their case code, and they'll tell you exactly when you need to renew it as well. So ours needs to be renewed in 2025 of July, right? So you'll have all this information right here. And you have to do this every year, depending on you know, how active it is. And let me show you something that could be useful as well when you're acquiring your SAM. So let me stop sharing this. Let me add this back to the stage, and I'm gonna share this instead. Okay, so right here they have it. It's a quick, dirty guide, but basically you're gonna search for your business to make sure it's not taken. If it's not, then you would hit the dot dot dot. If it is yours, then you'll like make the corrections and stuff like that. But basically, you're gonna be setting up a new entity. This is if you're trying to correct it. So you'll just create an account, and within when you're creating the new account, basically you're going to put in your business information. They're going to ask for the physical address, phone number, email address, bank account. Like they're going to ask for the ACH number. So you're going to have your account number and all that stuff set up. So they're going to be asking for a lot of details. And that's what you're going to need to provide that to them. They're going to ask about who are the officers, what you need, what is your business classified as. You're gonna be asked all this stuff. You need to put all the information as much as possible that identifies your business. So you also need to have what do they call it? I think it's like the Authenticator app in order to even log in. So that way, like for example, I signed in. Let me sign in. Using another person's email. So let me share this tab instead so I can sign in. I agree. So you see when you're trying to log in, put that there, submit, and then they'll send you this one-time code for the Authenticator app. And then let me log in real quick. It's a very cumbersome process, but I mean, once you got it, you ain't got to worry about it. All right, cool. So you remember it for the browser. All right, cool. Logged in, right? So let me see. Okay. All right. So let's see. Home. And then renew entity. Yes, I was just here. Yes. Oof, Lord, man. This stuff gets really annoying sometimes. Where is it? Okay. All right. So it should take you here. Workspace. Yeah, right here. So literally, you're going to be asked to put in this information. If you have an active registration already, meaning you've done this before, and it just went dormant, you can find it by searching it. Otherwise, for most people, you're just going to be adding a new entity, right? And then once you do that, you're going to be assigned. Obviously, you're going to put the information, the username, what kind of role and stuff like that. So this is kind of, I don't want to go into the details because I don't want to show too much, but because this is, yeah, you get the point. So you're going to have to provide who's going to be the authorization, the location of the business, the name, the EIN, the bank account information, the name of the bank, the account number, the what else? The phone number, email address, website. What do you classify your business as? All that stuff. You're gonna have to do all that stuff. It shouldn't really be too hard to identify, but if that makes sense. Who's asking? He said Chief doesn't have a YouTube. Yeah, no, he does. He has a YouTube page. I think he posted it on his Facebook page as well. So let me see. I think that will cover this part. So let me go back here. So once you complete all that, you'll have a cage code, you'll have a SAM number, all that stuff, and it'll be sent to your email address. Boom, you're done. And then you can start searching even though you don't have to do the SAM registration to search. But it's good to knock that out, get that out of the way. They'll do some background checks. They'll make sure that everything matches up. If there's any discrepancies, they'll ask you to clarify that. And then once you clarify that, you'll resubmit it, and then it'll be official, and then you'll get that email. So this is just kind of examples of kind of what that looks like and stuff like that. Yep. Okay. So these are the main things that just to kind of highlight when you're applying for these contracting gigs, right? You need to make sure you have the experience or you have some form of knowledge. So bid on small, maybe, and large contracting jobs that you feel comfortable doing. That's very important because you never know. You may just get it. Because what I explained at the beginning is that nobody's really bidding on these. They've been just kind of handing it to their friends and insiders and stuff like that, and nobody, or one or two companies are applying, or none. Don't worry about some of the things if you don't have, like, let's say you don't have the necessarily knowledge to execute HVAC. You can always partner with a subcontractor that's going to do that for you. But you got to make sure that the pricing aligns. You got to make sure the numbers make sense. You got to make sure that they have the good quality work ethic that you need to execute this job, because otherwise it's going to make you look bad. Everything's going to fall apart. It's going to cause some delays, right? So that's the main thing. And then take a chance. Like, you never know what's going to happen, like, at all. So I think the main thing is, like, people get too scared to apply for these, and they just like, I don't know if I want to do it or not. Well, you never know. And then you can use ChatGPT to actually help you kind of outline a proposal, like to give you a draft of a template. So, and then you just got to fill in the gap. You got to fill in the numbers. You got to fill in the information. You got to fill in how much it's going to cost. That's where you're going to call and all this other stuff. And then you'll be able to develop your proposal with all the information that's needed and then submit that. You just need to be aware of how much things cost. So that's why asking multiple people, having that knowledge firsthand that, okay, yeah, I know that this is based off of this HVAC service is going to cost X amount just because I know this is what it looks like. And then just kind of pay, like we talked about, pay attention to Doge's website. Okay, so here's another place where y'all can actually start. I've talked about this before, but it's Upwork. You can bid gigs on Upwork as well. Peace, guy, you in the building. Peace, peace, peace. You can bid on stuff at Upwork. And sometimes that's how you get another line of work. So I'm showing an example of what is actually out there that you can bid on. Upwork's a little different as far as like the process, but again, your indigenous business should be out there, right? So that you can bid on these things. So they're basically saying they have 3 spots for their Summit of Mindfulness and Emotional Intelligence. They'll be interviewing the experts. Oh, what is this? Ooh, Lord. Anyway, they'll be interviewing the experts to make sure that they qualify the person that they choose, right? So you want to provide website, links, all that stuff, so that way they can get all that information, right? So this is an example of a bid that's out there. And so if in order for you to bid on usually Upwork, you have to actually put how much your hourly rate is, and then obviously Upwork takes a percentage of that, right? And then from there, you put a cover letter, and then you put any attachments that you want to do, right? So this is an example of just kind of bidding on a gig, right? And then you usually have to have what they call connects. And it's like 20 connects usually per job that you want to bid on. And if you want to put it on top of the person's radar, then you put 1 to 4 extra. And then once you have all that, you submit it. And that's it. Otherwise, you can begin searching once you register for Upwork, which is really easy. You can use your Gmail or you could create an email address, whatever the case is. And then you go through that process of what is the name of the business, what expertise you specializing in, be more specific on the things that you want to offer and that people need to know about you. Have a summary about yourself. What gives you the education qualifications? What is your what you call it? How many years of experience have you been doing this? Who have you worked for in the past? Like, give me your history. So it asks for all that stuff so that it builds out a profile for you. And then you have a quick elevator pitch about the business itself or yourself, however you want to position it. And then you can go searching for it, and then you can search for different jobs, right? So here's literally a proposal that same proposal I was telling you about that the SheWave Clinic has bidded on, right? So we submitted the information. You see the logo at the top right. We actually submitted for it. So I'm giving these examples of peace, God, you're in the building. Peace, 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 peace. I give these examples as it means that, like, to bid on, whether it's on the local government level or whether it's a federal level with sam.gov, it's relatively easy. You just have to have all your documents and ducks in a row. And utilizing your first business that you get as a kind of a generic one to start getting your feet wet into the government contracting space is really not that bad. And it's really not that hard to do. So they're out there. Hardly not a lot of people are bidding on some of these things. And some of y'all have a lot of expertise in these things that you could be bidding on, right? So you want, again, just to reiterate some of the things, you want to make sure that you have the experience. So bid on small and, large, kind of a wide range. And then if you don't mind doing the work, just do the work and make it happen. Use ChatGPT to come up with the outline, and then you gotta fill in the actual specifics. That way, it makes it a lot easier when you have an outline, and then you can fill in the gaps, because every proposal that you're going to be submitting, it may be a little bit different depending on the needs. And then just be aware of how much things cost. Be honest with people, and sometimes people don't they downplay just how really dope we are. And sometimes you downplay how dope you are in general by just downplaying how you explain your business or what you do to people, and people kind of take that for granted. So keep this stuff in mind. Hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, it's really not that. It's not that hard. I've seen people who literally graduated high school and are like 18, so they're old enough to actually do this, bid on these things and actually get I think it was like a $20,000 contracting gig for, I think it was like removing trash. That's what I'm telling you. So it's really not that hard. You just have to put the proposal together, do your homework, read what is actually required, be professional with these people, and then work with the appropriate subcontractor that you connect with that is willing to work with you. It's not going to ghost you after you win the bid. And then there's just execute. And then that way, that's something that you're doing outside of whatever you may be doing, and that's extra revenue. And some of these contracts can be like multi-term. So it doesn't matter. Some of them are just like a specific period, 12-month period. But some of them are renewal multi-year periods. So if you do the job right, you do it correctly, you help the client save money, or you help them understand something that maybe they're overlooking, they're going to want to work with you. So that's just something to just kind of keep in mind. But definitely, if you have your business bank account set up like you're supposed to, you register on sam.gov, pretty easy. You just need to have all your information and ducks in a row. So like we said, physical address, phone number, email address, website, what type of business it is, or what type of specialties you have, doing the DBA. Trying to think. Oh yeah, make sure your DBA is just kind of like a generic um, either consulting or associate. So that way you can structure your website in that means where it's kind of a catch all. And then depending on what it is, you work with the specific subcontract that you have decided to focus and bid on. So it's really not that hard. But I've shown you examples of us bidding on stuff. So that way you can see that it's did I show the I think I did. Yeah, I showed like kind of what a proposal something could look like if it was too small. But so yeah, like yeah, in the cover letter, I just kind of put the same information of what I would put in that attachment, which is the basically the proposal. Basically, I gave them an overview of what is it that She-Wave Clinic does and how we approach our mindfulness practices and emotional practices and stuff like that to just kind of show that this is what we do, and this is how we go about it, and this is how we execute it. And sometimes they may ask you for experience as far as like, can you show how many people you've done this for? Or, if that's the case, then, maybe it may not be a good fit, but you kind of get the idea, right? So again, you can utilize ChatGPT to help you build a boiler template, but it's not going to be the thing that you're like, okay, yeah, ChatGPT, just do all this, and then I can take that and then submit it. No, no, no. You just need literally an outline structure that lays out who is it, what is the bidding that you're bidding on, and kind of the numbers, like the financial numbers, how much things are going to cost, what's the timeline, and then, kind of a summary of everything of like what you're doing. That's basically it. So like this class is not going to be, was not supposed to be long, but it's just to kind of show y'all like this is what y'all can do like within the next week of execution, especially this is a new year. So if you've never done government contracting and bidding on contracting gigs, this is something that you can do. Or if you haven't bid on just contracting work um, as a business freelancer, right? So like I said, I've talked about Upwork before, but like here's a real example of how you can bid on certain things and get paid for. All you got to do is just do it and bid on these things, and then you can do it you can do it at a local level, or you can do it on a federal level. So it doesn't matter. You just need to make sure you set up the account, you have your business set up like properly, your tribal businesses, and then you go from there. And then I think the other thing that people have to keep in mind is that the taxes, right? So some of them, like you may work with, trying to think of the example of what I saw, like on sam.gov, if you work with, I forget what tribe it is in Arizona, they have a document that they show that if you do business with them, you're doing business, and it's going to be tax exempt. So you'll see instances in that nature where they're showing that, yeah, this is going to be tax exempt, so you're not going to have to pay taxes, and already your entity is already tax exempt, so you don't have to necessarily worry about paying taxes on it. But in other instances where it does require some type of registration via the state, then obviously there's going to be some form of tax liability that you're going to have to be responsible for, that you want to make sure that you address. But nonprofits can also apply for these contracting gigs. You just have to make sure that they're aligned with that particular entity. So that's the key thing. So if it's a private institution that has the tax exempt status, again, you can make it generic. But if it's like a religious entity that's a nonprofit, again, it has to be aligned with the entity's or organization's mission. So these are things that you want to consider. But otherwise, you can operate that tax exempt business and bid on these opportunities or these contracting gigs. So hopefully that makes sense. I mean, didn't want to keep too long. But if there is no other questions, you can definitely rewatch the video for those who came in towards the end. I didn't want to make this too long. Again, it's been a while since I've done class, been busy. But again, go out there, make this is the new year. It's already started off. So you definitely want to capitalize off the opportunities that are actually out there. And with the new administration that has been put in place, they are really cleaning up house. So this is an opportunity to actually build your finances within your household. because things are going to be on sale. There's going to be opportunity for you to assert your business, provide services for people who are looking for your business and services in that area. So you just don't want to waste this opportunity. So if y'all have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you want to see more examples of like bidding on these different contracts on a different level, I showed y'all two: bidding on SAM, and also bidding on Upwork. I didn't show any for the local level, like the Dallas County, just because I didn't find anything that I thought we could bid on, but I just had to keep searching. But it's not that hard, y'all. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, hawaiiregion6@gmail.com or shabazzassociates@gmail.com. And we will see y'all either at the powwow or for the next class, y'all. So we out here, y'all. Peace.